Hello everybody, I'm your host, Dr. Darkspawn, and welcome. Welcome to another Meet Your Maker video. Now it has been a while, and in this video we're going to be discussing the new patch notes that has been released on the 22nd of June by Behavior. I'm going to try and keep this as short and sweet as I possibly can. We're going to talk about the patch notes, then we're going to talk about the new content that's going to release on the 27th of June for the Dreadshore update, as well as any changes that are going to be happening after that. There have been some new content that have been added, some extra splash screens for the Dreadshore's upcoming release. They've made some quality of life improvements. They have allowed us to activate outposts that are Prestige 10 an infinite amount of times after they reach Prestige 10 for a synthite cost. Great, this allows me to reactivate all those other outposts that normally would just sit on social and get a lot less visibility for the raiding community in open matchmaking. So that does help quite a lot, though it does kind of invalidate the social aspect a little bit, but at least you don't have to pay synthite to have your outpost on social now, which is great. Synthite is really hard to come by, and they've addressed a part of that in the updates as well further down. Outposts activated beyond Prestige 10 are no longer eligible to be champion outposts. That's great, good change. That means that the outposts that are currently prestiging and above Prestige 5, that are newer, will get more attention than the outposts that are already Prestige 10. That's fantastic, it's great, it's good to still incentivize creation of new outposts. They've changed some of the tutorials to better explanatory of the mechanics in the game. They've released some new content so that it's easily to identify new content whenever you find it and it's been released. They've added some tips in the loading screens. Loot is better explained on the death screen. Alright, the consequences of dying. Alright. And it also pertains to loot. I did not know that. That's good to know. So if you die and if you destroy things, it affects your loot, depending on what you've destroyed when you die. Okay. The result of prestiging while there is still gen to harvest has been clarified in the user interface. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a little confusing and worded in such a way that it might be misinterpreted. And they've had some contrast of colors that they've just fixed so they don't blend as much with the UI anymore. So it's more, it pops out a little bit more. In terms of balancing, now, I do have some gripes for some of these things. They've added guaranteed synthite and parts rewards to raiding to create a more dependable source of currencies. And when you raid a normal, you get 45 synthite or parts. Dangerous, you get 60. And for brutals, you get 75. So from what I am seeing here, it looks like they're really trying to push us into raiding dangerous outposts a heck of a lot more, since 60 is quite a bit more than 45. And normally dangerous outposts, if you're rushing through them, take roughly the same amount of time as a normal to complete, but way less time to complete than a brutal outpost. So I'm seeing a lot of activity in the dangerous category. So if you want a ton of raiders and you want a ton of kills, dangerous is going to be the category to go to. And champion outposts reward 100 synthite or parts for all difficulties. Now it's important to note that they say synthite or parts. In other words, it rewards one of the two, and it's not guaranteed that when you find an outpost or when your outpost is found on matchmaking that it will reward guaranteed synthite or be raided because of that. So I've been seeing a lot of outposts on matchmaking and I haven't raided a single one that has been offering me parts because I have 100,000 parts and I'm pretty much at the cap and I have no need for parts. Therefore, I only raid those with synthite. So I'm a little skeptical about that choice, why it doesn't just award synthite, and why tombs just don't award more parts. So if you want parts, go for tombs. If you want synthite, just run to complete the outpost. So I'm a little skeptical about how that's going to work for some of the outpost visibility, because it does directly influence if your outpost is going to get raided or not, since synthite is one of the most important resources, and that is definitely what players will be going for. And even the champion outposts don't have a guaranteed plus synthite, they have synthite or parts as a reward. So even that can be parts, which is very unfortunate for some people that get parts as the reward for their base in other matchmaking lobbies, by people finding them in the matchmaking Cool. Diminishing returns on the quantity of loot within drops from players' skulls have been removed, so now whenever you kill a raider and you pick up, there's no diminishing returns of the loot that they've dropped once they've died. That's fantastic. That'll give us a more reliable income from players dying in raids. Might encourage some raiders to start building and some builders to start building more deadly setups. Forsaken tombs have their loot drops been reduced from spawning 8 blocks of loot to 5 blocks of loot. Okay, not sure why that's been reduced. Maybe because of the extra synthite and parts you get from just finishing an outpost. Could be that they didn't want to change the economy too much at once, but, you know, it would have been a welcome change if it stayed where it was. Incentivizing to actually find tombs. Now I don't think there's really too much of a reason to find them. They only spawn 5 blocks of loot, and that can be either parts or synthite. So not really too worth it. You rather want to just complete the outpost as fast as you can to get as many synthite as you possibly can, and if there's a tomb along the way, why not grab it? But if it's out of the way and it's behind a bunch of traps and defenses, I wouldn't do that. It would be very effective in terms of time spent, ineffective in terms of time spent. The spoils of war effects and cost have been reduced, so this is the boots that you gain to parts. They've been reduced, and the cost of them have been halved in terms of the synthite cost. And I do believe, yeah, the sell costs of them are the same, but the effect of it has also been halved. So at maximum level, the effect would have been a 30% boost to parts. That boost is now 15% and costs half the amount of synthite. So half the amount of effect and half the amount of synthite that you spent for it. But the amount of cells that you spent are still the same. The synthite boost has had the same thing happen to it, where you pay half the amount of parts and the effect of the boost is halved. Instead of getting a 30% boost to synthite gains in raids and in building, you now only gain a maximum of 15, but it costs half the amount of parts. The amount of cells that it costs also the exact same, doesn't really matter. There's been some balancing in terms of traps. The corrosive cube's capacity has been increased from 15 to 20. The plasma sentinel's capacity cost has been increased from 50 to 70. That's a 20-point increase per plasma sentinel. And the mods for it, the Eagle Eye, Plasma Cloud mod, and Self-Destruct mod, have all seen their cost increased from 15 to 20 capacity. That is quite a lot of capacity, so any outposts that are currently in active rotation will see these points increased, and if they go over the cap of these outposts, like over the maximum amount of capacity, then they will be unable to activate, and we'll have to remove a few things to get them back down again. I think this is a really good change. At least there has been a ton of outposts over the last few months that have been spamming plasma sentinels because of the low cost, and adding tons of mods on them because of the low cost of these mods as well. And as a result, you can go in and find a wall of plasma sentinels in every third or fourth outpost that you find, just because they're so cost efficient and they are quite effective and do have a high amount of threat in the minds of raiders. There's some of the outposts that even have been using plasma sentinel as floor and walls and roof blocks with self-destruct on them to create very dense anti-speedrun setups. Thankfully, that's probably no longer going to be the case, at least not to the extent that it was before, but it is still a possibility to find those. It's a good change, I do like it. The weapons have been balanced. Arc Barrier's perfect block window has been reduced by 0.5 seconds on each level, and the time to block on a level 1 Arc Barrier to get a perfect block is 0.25 seconds, very, very small window. At level 2 it's 0.35 seconds, and at level 3 it is 0.5 seconds instead of being 1 second. So that should reduce your overall survivability by using the Arc Barrier equipment or weapon to great effect, as it has been used right now. And now the biggest problem that I have with this whole patch that they've done and the updates that they've done is the Phoenix Pod. Phoenix Pods can now be used twice per raid, and it is automatically unlocked for all players, and players start with 25 in their inventory, as well as starting with 25 grenades in their inventory when they get the game and they start playing. I know that this would be absolutely fantastic for newer players to just get into the swing of things, to not have the game feel as repeatable. every time they die, but in the hands of the experienced raiders and duos having access to infinite revives, you having access to arc barriers, invincibility, and block that you can run through massive amount of traps and use equipment while you're invulnerable, having access to 2 flash barriers and 3 grenades as well as part of equipment. I do feel like my prediction has become true. I made this prediction on the Media Maker community Discord as well, that the focus of the game leading into Dreadshore and in Dreadshore itself will be heavily focused on player fun instead of balance. So right now, if you're a casual builder, you build outposts for fun, you like to see a few deaths on your outpost, and you build a really difficult one. It's the thing that you're the most proud of. You've only have like 100 hours in the game. You just got all the trap unlocks you wanted and guard mods that you needed. You built your outpost, and now someone throws down a phoenix pod. They go in, they have a shield, they have a sword. The shield triggers all of your once-off traps, all of your bolt shots, all of your grenade, bomb ejector traps, and of course, because they get hit with a piston or 2 while they have the shield active, the shield destroys 2 pistons and they're able to melee 3 or 4 traps in a tight corridor. Now they've cleared about 15 to 20 traps and they've died, and they've now activated their phoenix pod. And now they simply throw down another phoenix pod. Oh, you've got another difficult section up ahead? Run into it and do the same thing again. Just throw some grenades while you have a shield up, and melee stuff the moment your shield expires. If you survive, good stuff. If you die, well, you got rid of 15 to 20 traps in your one life, and if you had a flash barrier, you maybe got rid of even more. And if you're running double gun and using flash barriers and double phoenix pods, you can pretty much do every single base without having to reset it once. Just because you can go in, you can collect all 3 of your bolts, kill things while you're running around, dodging projectiles, throw down a flash barrier, stand there, kill 3 more things with your Volt Lancer, collect the bolts again. Oh, you died? Don't worry. Your bolts come with you when you die, and when you revive wherever your phoenix pod was thrown down, you now have 3 bolts again, which you can shoot things away from safety. And your plasma bow allows you to take care of guards like it's nobody's business. You said it's 15 bullets and it one-shots guards. There you go, you've cleared the whole outpost and you've only died twice. Instead of having 1 phoenix pod and actually needing to play super safe, now you can actually do more risky things and you can recover them. It's more fun, probably, for the raider. But for the builder, I'm thinking that it'll be very detrimental, especially to the casual builder and the casual gameplay audience, seeing their outposts just get absolutely rolled over by people just reviving constantly. 2 revives, 3 revives, and if they have a duo partner, they can infinitely revive, and now each partner of the duo has 2 revives on their own. So if one partner dies, he can just his friend can just pop his phoenix pod and he can pick up his ally again, and after that they can just once again recover all their ammo, use all the shields that they have access to, and if they were to somehow die again, the other person just uses their phoenix pod. Then they spam revive each other again, trigger all the once-off traps that aren't repeatable, and again throw down more phoenix pods and just rinse and repeat and roll over any outpost. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how easy it is, they can just roll right on over it. So it is a little bit of a problem that I have, and the biggest problem that I have with this is that you can now use 2 of them. It's extremely OP and very, very, very unbalanced and very raider focused. They fixed a ton of bugs with raiders, deaths, co-op raiding, where sometimes it equips the wrong weapon, sometimes it grapples instead of firing, sometimes there's bugs with weapons. Sword bug was a big problem. I do believe they fixed that. They were also able to lock yourself in animation and do ranged attacks without lunging to where the trap was or the guard was that you were hitting with melee weapons. So that's fixed. They've said they fixed multiple game crashes. I have not noticed multiple fixes. I've noticed multiple crashes as well on start, so unclear about which ones was fixed, because I've crashed 3 or 4 times just starting up the game for the first time to record some of this footage. and some minor UI misclassifications, and being able to equip double weapons, for example, that of the same type, that's been fixed, and some achievement problems. Now, hopping into the Dreadshore new content that we'll be releasing, according to behavior, they will have a new environment, which will be a rainy seaside outpost environment with battered shipwrecks, a lighthouse, and a bright light from the lighthouse that cuts through the fog and the gloom. Very rainy, very muddy, with landmines and ships in a desert-esque seaside area. They'll have a new trap for the sentry beam that tracks its target before firing a laser beam that ricochets off surfaces, a Ravager guard that fires bolts that spread out 3 at a time, I do believe, and a new weapon for the Custodian, a demolition cannon that does massive damage to traps, flesh, and armor. I'm not sure what they mean with massive damage, because 1 point of damage kills anything, so unsure what they mean about that, but it does damage to traps, flesh, and armor. So it kills guards, it destroys armor, and it destroys everything that it shoots. Traps, well, most traps, actually, except probably corrosive cubes. Those are the only ones that I'm not seeing them really be destroying. There's a new suit that's going to be releasing, the Nautilus suit, that enhances the effects of defensive weaponry. Unclear about the exact nature of that. They may still change it up until the 27th. But defensive weaponry, I'm guessing that the changes to the shield, the arc barrier, is probably going to be buffed by the Nautilus suit so that you have a larger perfect block window, or that it lasts longer, for example. There's a new decoration pack they have that adds 2 building blocks, 2 props, 1 animated prop, and 8 decals, and a new cosmetic collection called the Light's End, which gives you the traditional stylings of a lighthouse, and 2 more building blocks, 2 props, an animated prop, and 8 decals. So 2 decoration packs that are coming, and cosmetic collections. One of them is probably going to be behind a paywall, I'm guessing. There are going to be some new cosmetics for the Nautilus suit called the Maelstrom skin, and a new skin for the demolition cannon, the Dreadnought skin. So these are probably also going to be locked behind the paywall, as well as with the decoration pack for the lighthouse called Light's End. Now, there are going to be some balancing changes on the 27th of June to the ranking system. They will be reworking the rank system to improve the flow of progression so that you require less points to rank up and can reach master's rank a bit easier. That's great for the casual players, though for the hardcore players, they may, again, like they've felt for these last few months, maybe feel like there's not enough to aspire to, not enough to go to, no rewards for being at the top 15 or top 20 or top 50 or top 1 rank in your region that you're in. So something like that would have been very nice. Though not really much a problem for me. I'm in the top 150, but I have been getting all of my points from just building, because every kill on a raider gives me, I think, 75 rank points if they're of an equivalent rank. And you will continue to lose more ranking points for actions based on your rank. Unclear whether or not this includes building and losing rank points from people raiding your outpost with 0 deaths like it did before, but it is possible that that may be coming back and that losing rank points could be easier. This is great. This means that it's more difficult to reach that point than it is right now. At this current point, you can enter an outpost and you can just abandon it the whole time and actually gain rank points all the way up into master without ever completing a single outpost and just dying. So that is a little iffy and definitely needed some fixing. Yeah, that is it for the balancing changes. I'll be doing a video about artistic outposts and my most deadliest outpost that I've created as of yet, and give a little showcasing of all of those soon. There is also a massive problem that I didn't mention before, which is that certain things have been shadow changed that aren't mentioned in these patch notes, the Flamewalker mod for Warmongers are missing. They've disappeared. There's nothing in it about it in the patch notes, and I cannot find it for the life of me. It has affected the effectiveness of my outposts that I have created in social, that I've created for the competitions that I've hosted by the Meet Your Maker community Discord, and has led to some discontent among certain builders. Now, Behavior, if you're watching this video, please, can you tell me why has Flamewalker been removed for the Warmongers? It was a pretty good mod. I really liked the way it functioned. It was pretty cool. Can I have it back, please? I would really appreciate it. My deadliest outpost I've created to date uses it, I think, once or twice, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I would like to see it come back, please. But for everyone else, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this has been informative. I added my opinion about a few things. Let me know if you agree with me down in the comments below, or if you think that having double Phoenix pods and such are really good in general, not just for the newer players, and yeah, just your general opinion on the patch notes. I would appreciate to see those. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I've been your host, Dr. Darkspawn, and you've been fantastic. Have a great day. Peace out.